Hello, fellow traders. 'Tis I, the Rumpled One, coming to you on Thursday, November the 16th. The year's 2023. Let's talk trading. Simple versus easy, part 2 with Walmal. These videos are for educational purposes only. Your results may differ from mine and different from Walmal. Walmal, yesterday I spoke with the traders about the difference between simple and easy, because sometimes people will equate the two when it's not. That's really not the case. That ease comes with practice and repetition.
Yeah, I would agree with that. It, I like the, think about something. Let's say you were a writer, okay, and you're a novelist or, even a history writer. Actually, I think take the example of a history writer. I think that'll even be better. But if you think about it, to go and say, I'm going to write a book about history, if you think about it, that's really simple. All I need is a piece of paper and a pencil. That's all I need. It's simple to write it, but it's not easy. Why? Because I got to go sit down. I got to do all the research. I got to go into each and every one. If I'm writing about a caricature, history of a particular person in history, I got to do all the research about that person. Maybe even get into their family a little bit. Get into the psychology of the people around them. Get into the psychology of the people who were living at the time. Get to learn all the customs and reasons why people would do certain things, and then that way, if I've got all that information, I can write something that's accurate and true. So, is that easy? Well, yes and no. It's difficult, but at the same time, by putting in all of that work, it becomes easy because I've got everything there. And as something becomes easy, then at that point it's simple because now I've got all the facts in front of me. I can write it all out, and I can actually write the history. It becomes very simple. Now what happens is when I get that piece of paper in front of me, and I got that pencil in front of me, and I've got, I don't know, I remember that, I'm old, so back in the old days, the way you would go and write a paper, a history paper or something like that, is they tell you take a 3x5 card out and fill it up with these type of facts, get the next one out, write them with those type of facts. Next thing you know, in front of you when you went to write your paper, if you did it and actually followed the plan that they had, what would happen is you'd lay out the cards in front of you and you'd literally just go and expound upon each of the bullet points you wrote on a 3x5 card. And it became really easy because you did all the difficult part first.
And you want to hear something funny? Ryan Holiday, the writer that writes about Stoicism, that was mentored by Robert Greene. Well, that's what he does. He uses, I think, 4x6 cards, but I've literally seen he's had pictures of the boxes and boxes of these cards. Like he goes, here's the box for my latest book, and it's got this huge box with all these cards.
Yeah, and it works, but it becomes very, very simple to go and do it that point because you got it all figured out. You got it all laid out, it's there, and so it works. I mean, I don't know why. I worked at CBS, the broadcasting company's, central broadcasting system,
Fake news. You work for fake news?
I worked for fake news. I worked there when Walter Cronkite was actually there. but in any case, they made me go and take this class on selling. I think it was a turning point for the company, so that they wanted every person. If you were a janitor, they were making you go and take a sales class because the idea was to go and sell the company. And so, and I say all that because one of the things they told you to do is that, every single time that you go and meet somebody, you go and write down as many of the simple facts that you can go and remember about that person on a card, so that the next time you have a meeting with that person or come across that person, you can pull out that 3x5 card and, have it all in front of you. And that goes, I promise this will get to trading. But you have all those facts in front of you, and you know how to go and talk to that person and sell the concept of that particular corporation. and it makes sense. And I actually have implemented that in my life to a certain extent. Even when I was on the mission field, I'd go and meet a guy, and I would go and write down all the facts about this guy, and because when I was on the mission field in Africa, names were difficult for me. I mean, you had names that literally sometimes were, 20 characters long, and so, you'd write down the nicknames or acceptable nicknames to be used by personal friends as opposed to family and so on and so forth. But you wrote that all down, and life became a lot easier, less difficult, if you want to go and say. And where does that tie into trading? Well, the thing with trading is to make trading easy so that it becomes simple. What you need to do.
You mean simple so it becomes easy, right?
Yes. Sorry. The whole idea is that, what you want to do is you want to go and, plan things out. Have a plan. Have a trading plan in front of you. We showed last week, that one card that I have on my desk of the, exit strategy, my exit strategy for me, what works for me, and yeah, it's a card that sits in front of me. I look at it, not as often as I should, as I admitted on the video, but I do look at it on a regular basis, so that way it just becomes something that happens. It's just, and that's what we have to do with trading as well. Okay, we're sitting here, we see patterns, we see things that happen or tend to happen over and over again, and it gives us an idea, hey, this is where I can go and make some money. Well, let's go and do some research. Is it just something that's happening right now, this particular day, this particular hour, or is this something that happens on a regular basis? What is that? In order to do that, what do you need to do? Well, you need to sit there and open up your charts and maybe take a day off where you're not trading at all, or 2 days or 3 days, a month even, whatever it takes, and actually go and follow it and see if it's actually happening. Go and see if it happens before you. I would say go look in the past and see if there's something that you see a lot on the charts. That doesn't mean it's going to work into the future, but what it means is that, hey, there's a shot here. Okay, now let's look at it going forward. Or sit down, watch what it does, actually maybe not take the trade yet, just actually follow it and say, hey, look at this. You get an outside bar. How do I trade an outside bar? Watch how price moves around an outside bar. Another trader who I know that listens to this channel, he likes taking outside bars and trading them into the middle. I'm going to be honest with you. It should have been obvious to me that that's a big trade, but for me, it wasn't obvious. But, him saying that, now I've been paying attention. Hey, look at that. Now what I've seen is that it's, if the outside bar is not that big, it's not, there's usually not enough room and it doesn't give you enough clearance to be able to do it. But if you got a big outside bar, let's say on an M1 or an M5, yeah, there's lots of room there. And you can go and pick off 2, 3, 4, 5 pips, and you can go make some money there. But what did I have to do? He mentioned it to me as an idea. And then I said, that's interesting. That's an interesting idea. I go back and I look at the charts. Look at that. It worked there. Look, it worked there. It worked there. It worked there. Okay, now it's going. Okay, now we've seen that there's a pattern of it working in the past. Now, again, we don't know if it's profitable yet or not. Let's go and start following it going into the future. Let's actually start paying attention to it and, go maybe just taking a piece of paper and writing down a piece of paper. Hey, we had one. Okay, and it worked. Okay, we had one, and it worked. We just had another one, and it didn't work. Okay, now here's another one. Okay, it didn't work. Okay, got another one. It worked. So now we've got something where it worked 3 times and it didn't work 2 times. Now we have to sit down and figure out, okay, if I was to get out, where would I get out? On the profit side, where did I get out on the loss side? Now I actually run an expectancy formula against it, meaning, if I take all my losses, multiply it by, how much it would have won times the number of lots, and then do the same on the other side. Do the simple subtraction. Am I profitable or am I not? Okay, seems like I'm going to be profitable. Okay, now let's go and maybe low number, but let's go and sit down and and actually start running the numbers. Or actually running it by going and putting some skin in the game. What does this do to me emotionally? Because we have to go and test that next. Start taking the trades. Maybe at first you only putting out there one micro lot just to go and see, and then move it up to what your account can go and handle. Oh, is it working or is it not working? All of that work has to be put in place, and all that work, to be honest with you, is not easy. It's difficult. It's something but it's something that you have to do. But once you've done that, then you've got a system in place. You've got a money management system in place. You've got you should have a method for entry. You should have a method for exit. And now you've got a system that can actually go and make you money. But the thing is, it becomes, this is something that becomes easy to do. Why? Because what happens is you got a scheme to follow. You've got, maybe you got a 1 3x5 or 4x6 card in front of you that lays everything out that you're supposed to do, and you just follow it. And because you've done all the hard work ahead of time, you now know that it should work out in your favor. Maybe not every time, but often enough that at the end of the month you should have more money in your bank account than you did at the beginning of the month. Yeah. That's just my 2 cents on simple and easy.
A trader asked a question. Remember we were talking a few videos ago about a trade, and you had averaged in. They were wondering about when how do you fight your way out of those trades. I don't know if you can do that and give them the 2-minute version, and we might have to do a whole video on fighting your way out of a trade.
Well, it really comes to, I think we should do an entire video on that, but I'll give you the 2-minute synopsis on it. And that is that my exit strategy is really set up to deal with that. And that is very simply this. I get into the trade, if it doesn't go my direction, then what happens is I wait for somewhere between 2-3 pips, for it to go against me. And I'll usually go and just enter a second trade, at that point in time. Whether it's continue to go against me or not, I just usually do that. And more times than not, it tends to go right back to the where I'd be at break even, and I look to just get out of break even plus maybe a little bit, but that's really it. Cover all my costs and just get out of it and say, well, that was just it just didn't work out. If it doesn't and it continues to go down against me, what I do is, because I don't go and use all my gunpowder up, I've got lots of ammunition still left sitting out there, I can go and wait for the next trade in that direction, and I'll wait for the next trade, and when I get the next trade in that particular direction, I go and enter again, and at that point in time, let's say it goes and moves 8 pips against me, okay, from the first trade, and now I'm some -8, -6, so technically at that point in time, -14 pips, but the thing is, if I now enter and I got a next trade, well, the thing is, I only needed to come up 7 pips for me to go and to get to break even. And a lot of times what will happen is it will move, 5 pips or so, and a lot of times they'll give me another entry to get back into the trade again, and I'll go and enter again, and then I'll get out with a profit, maybe a profit of maybe 2 or 3 pips, overall 2 or 3 pips. The first trade I may get out with a loss. The second trade I usually get out probably close to break even, or maybe make a little bit. But that third trade is, I'll make a bunch of money on that. That's the quick and dirty of it. But to really go and talk about that, we really need probably a good 5-10 minutes to really talk about that.
Yeah. Okay. Well, fellow traders, if you noticed, I've had the pivot trading plan sitting up on the screen because, once again, a simple system. It said price near the pivot, bias was short. You see price came up to the pivot, it actually crossed it at 39, and then it came back at the start of this new H4 and fell below it. And then you can see earlier in the day the pivot trading plan said bias is long near S1. It came down twice, touched it, a third time near it, and all 3 times retraced using these H4 candles. So once again, something simple, something to follow. Does it work every day? Of course not. And the reason it doesn't work is because that's just the market. And so when you're trading, I want you to always remember and never forget, it's not what you trade, it's how you trade it. So go out there and drain the banks. This is the Rumpled One, over and out.